Morning everybody. How's everybody doing today? Those that do not know me, new guys here, my name is Larry Lamb. And today I'm going to start off my prez with asking you, what do you think is the most valuable part of the computer system?
Talking about like as a personal computer type thing, or?
Any.
This is like Sophie's Choice. You're asking me to choose which children I'm going to send to the Nazis.
Yeah. They are.
They're all
funding. They're all important.
I love all of them equally.
Equally,
The
the
answer I'm looking for is data. Yeah, because any hardware component you can replace with a few $100s, but if you lose data, you can lose your business, lose all your personal pictures and memorabilia, and so you don't want to do that. So what I'm going to talk about today are components that help you keep an uptime on systems optimally and minimize the downtime and be able to have redundancy and keeping and storing your valuable information in place for yourself and for your client. So I'm going to be talking about SATA today, RAID and SATA setup. So let me bring this up.
Yeah, while you do that, I read recently that people's data is now has a higher value than gold, if you could quantify it that way. And
Yeah.
I thought that was real interesting.
How much data is in a pound of data?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah. You have to read the article.
What's your data, 14 karat or 24 karat?
So did you hear that gold is going down to $7 million?
No, I've heard that.
It's dropping.
Wow.
Okay, so what I've been using in my classes is
You lost the
this
screen.
piece of software. I'm going to bring it up. Just
Oh.
All right, so what you see here are app from TestOut, and so these are some of the products I have. I'm not plugging in, but if you want access to them, I can hook you up. It's got TestOut client, like Desktop Pro, Electrical Hacker, IT Fundamentals, Linux Pro for some of those I'm teaching, and Network Pro, and Office Pro, and PC Pro is the one I use, and Routing and Switching Pro, and TestOut Security Pro, TestOut Server Pro. So just give me a shout out if you want me to get in and do access. But today, to talk about RAID setup, I'm going to go ahead and bring LabSim up. And so I did bring my computer in, as you see. And got pieces of hardware on the bench that I need. So I need 3 identical hard drives due to the minimum of the RAID that I'm trying to shoot for as an objective. So everybody know what RAID 0 is?
It's just disks.
Yes, just disks. Yes, disks. But in particular, there's different levels of RAID that you can use that help optimize your objective of what I want to do. So RAID 0 is striping. Striping increases speed in the system, but it doesn't have any fault tolerance, meaning that if you drop one of the hard storage devices in there, you lose all your data because it's spread out among or between the minimum of 2 disks. Anybody know what RAID 1 is? Mirroring. So that copies the exact data on one disk onto another, but that is very slow in performance. So what we want is to combine the strength of both of them and also introduce something called Parity. Parity is part of the software package in the storage device that rebuilds the storage devices if they happen to fail. And so you need a minimum of 3 identical disks, and so that's what I'm going to begin with. So with TestOut, just a little bit of a instruction on how to use this too. So I have my computer here, so I have my tower situated as you see here, so but I need to get into it. So I got a motherboard view, and so I can go ahead and expand that so you can see, and I can move around so you can see what's in there. But I'm gonna need to get to the smaller view so I can manipulate the navigation bar here. So I can go to the back, and so you can see all the necessary connectors here, and you have access to the power supply. You can switch it on and off, switch it to 220 mode or 115 mode as necessary. But what I want to get to is the drive bays. Drive bays is here. This is where I want to load my identical hard disk in here. So I'll go to the bench. I'll look at the left sidebar here. I'll click hard drives, and the hard drives will pop up. And you'll see I have maybe four of them on the bench that I can use. So my requirement is to select a proper number of drives out of there and not use more than I need to. If I do, I will be faulted on my left. And so that indicates that I'm ignorant what's the minimum amount of storage devices I need for minimum RAID 5. RAID 5 is what I'm after. So if I pick 4 of them, they'll fail me right off the bat. So what I want to do is pick 3 identical RAID. I can go ahead and click on this, look at the details. So I can explode that and look at the label if I want to. Click side view, top view, and the overview, and the back side. So the back side, we're using SATA type connectors, because SATA type connectors lends itself very well to RAID configuration. If you go with the old PATA setups, you only limit to 4, and it will not work as well. So it will not work like the RAID type of setup. So you can look and examine where the connections are. And I'm gonna try to speed up because I only got 15 minutes of fame here, so let me go back and bring forth my hard drive. So I need to install it into my tower system. So the process is to go ahead and grab the hardware that you need as if you had them actually. So I'll pull it and I'll put it into a drive bay. So I know I need 3 of them. So I'm gonna get 3 of them. Bring forward like this, and bring 1 more over. And so I have 3 hard drives that I can go ahead and connect to the system and make it go forth. So I have to use the proper cables. And so SATA cables look basically like this. It's 7 wires. And I failed to make connectivity in the proper areas on my motherboard and system. It'll fail me also, so I have to be able to put it in this correct spot. So I'll go ahead and, I know I need to have 3 cables, but they give me 4 just in case I want to, if I'm doing a blooper and pick 4, and so that's a misstep, so I don't want to do that. So what I do is drag the unconnected cable, and since I already looked at the exploded view of a hard drive, I can see, or I know basically where the connectivity point for the power cable will be, so I'll go ahead and connect, and what I will see is a highlighted area here that indicates that I made a successful connection, so I can go forward. So I have 3 of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and connect the rest of them. Here I'll select another cable, pull it over to the SATA data cable spot. Pop up in blue to let me know that I met my target. And I'll do the last one. And I'll put it in its place here. So it's got the, yeah, there it goes. It's flash blue. You can expand it too, but I'm leaving it small so I can navigate. If you guys can't see it, I'm happy to let you have access and let you play with it. So now that I have it on the hard drive, am I done? Where else do I need to connect it to? Motherboard, yes. You got to go to the motherboard. So you go to the motherboard view. You click at the navigation bar at the top. Again, you can explode it, but I'm familiar with where this is, so I'll put in the SATA type connections on the motherboard area here. So I'll grab one of the unconnected areas here, maybe this one, and move it to the SATA connections that I know that's there on the motherboard. I'll see the blue highlighted, so I release. And so I need to have another one. So these indicate on the sidebar here are partial connections. So I need to go ahead and pull those over. So I'll do those quickly. So you don't see repetition on too many things. So I've got one more to go. So I got all my SATA connectors connected successfully to the hard drive of the motherboard. So what else do I need to make the system work?
Either a RAID card or you're gonna do it software with it.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be motherboard induced.
Oh, it's gonna be motherboard,
software.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what else is missing?
Your power.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, let's do a network guy. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get to the power supply. For those that don't know what a power supply looks like, this like the shoebox kind of configuration that you see. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And so what you see pop up at the bottom sidebar navigation is a row of connectors. If you're not familiar with the right one, you select the wrong one. Your SOL, is that what you use?
No.
Yeah.
What's that spell?
Oh,
I'll tell you when the recording's done.
Oh, I'm being recorded? No, sorry. Yeah, okay, just French, okay. I'll move unconnected connector. These are 15-pin power connectors. So before I do that, I need to see the drive bay. So I'll let that reset, so it resets. So know where the power connector is going to be because I looked at the exploded view. And I'm familiar with SATA hard drives, so I connect the 15-pin one there. So I need to do for every one of them. And so I'll get one more, so I need to drag, slide it over and get to the last hard drive. And is it going? Yeah, there it goes. Oop, missed. Oop. There it goes. There, so successfully connected now. So I got power, I got the data cable connected to the system. So what is next? Tests, how about that?
Operating system.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So everybody knows where the everybody knows where the ONOFF button is, right? Okay, so you hit it and it comes on, so it's booting up. So what you want to do is get into the BIOS, so you hit the proper key to get into it. And this F2 and Dell with this particular system is delete, so that's how I got into it. And so the BIOS configuration, you got to go to the right setting. So I want to go to system configuration. I'll click that and hit the drop-down bar. And since I'm working with SATA, I'll choose force selection down, and I'll click that. What you see is radio buttons here. So since I'm working with RAID, I'm going to hit the RAID radio button, and I'm going to highlight to get it on. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to click exit. And while it's going and doing this loading up, I'm going to go ahead and hit shift, control shift. And okay, let me start one more time. Right on. And since I applied it, and so I'm going to hit control. Let it load up and hit Control I because that's the two buttons that you set up and get to this screen here, so it gets into the RAID configuration screen. So it asks me to create a RAID volume, so I have redundancy and have efficiency and speed. So I have that highlighted and selected, so I want to go ahead and create that situation. So I hit enter. And what it names is the first volume, and the first drive is always labeled 0. So I'll go ahead and hit enter there. And so it asks me what type of RAID level I want. I already figured out RAID 0 is not what I want because it's only striping and it doesn't have redundancy. So I'll go ahead and drop down and I'll take the down arrow. And it says RAID 1 is a mirrored one. I don't want that either because it makes it too slow. So I'll do the next selection, which is RAID 5. It has parity. So now I have efficiency, and I have redundancy, and I have a way to rebuild my system if when the hard drive fails. I can just, on a hot swappable situation, pull out the default or defective hard drive, put an identical one, slide it in while everything's going, keep the data up and going for my customers and making them happy because they can have their critical data and there's going to be a minimal amount of downtime. So I'll go ahead and move down the list here. So I hit enter for RAID parity. So they want to set the default strip size of 128, and then we're going to use the maximum capacity of each of the drives because that's the requirements of the customer. And so I'm going to say create the volume. I'll go ahead and do that. So once I get to this point, I have to be sure that I want to say that I want to use all these disks because once I go to the point of no return, it'll wipe out everything on that disk. So if you get 2 brand new disks that's identical, or 3, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're using something that has the Coca-Cola formula and that's the only one in the world, then you might think about doing some backups before you, or reuse a different drive. And then, so you hit yes. And once you do that, you have your RAID created. So it says volume 1 is set up as RAID level 5. And it's using all the disk capacity at 808. And it shows all the 3 members there. So there you have it. Yes?
So I set up just a simple RAID 0 array like a long time ago, and I used the BIOS to configure the RAID array, and my motherboard went bad, and so I got a new motherboard. And when I plugged the disks in to the new motherboard, the RAID implementation on the motherboard that I bought was different than the RAID implementation on the motherboard that went bad. And I couldn't access my RAID array anymore. Was there a way to have gotten around that?
Or different manufacturers have different software configuration for it. It has to support the one that you have in there, so you just have to start over.
Okay, so I'm basically out of luck at that point unless I buy a motherboard from the same manufacturer just to get my data off. That's what I thought. Okay, so that was a problem for me at the time.
The alternative is to buy a RAID card that has a battery backup, and then you can swap to a new motherboard. Doesn't even have to be the same kind, and it'll read off of the card as well as the battery backup.
But I should have gotten the card with the battery backup before configuring the RAID array.
Yeah, doing it on a motherboard.
So the time machine plus the card configuring the RAID array is really the ideal combination.
And the software version is
How common is it for motherboards to have built-in RAID support?
The newer ones, you may be able to buy them on a consumer level because they're all moving towards in that trending in that area there. So more RAID and RAID is more and more available, but on the consumer levels, you're only going to have RAID 0 and RAID 1. RAID 5 is only on the server and workstation level. So, but bear in mind that software RAID taxes the resources of the operating system, so it slows it way down. So if you want RAID that works really well, buy hardware RAID. And the operating system basically wanting to know it's there.
So is there any point to using RAID arrays with solid state drives?
Yeah, some people do it. If you want to spend, you got deep pockets and know you're full time, so you can do it.
I did just buy a 2 terabyte SSD for $179.
Yeah, they go.
But I can only afford one of them.
One of them. Save your money. Just
You have
like
to
the
be a
rest of us.
dean before you can
If you do RAID inside Microsoft's operating system, the server operating system, you can do what's called tiered. And so it recognizes that the SSD is faster than the non-SSDs. So it will put all the stuff you access more often on the SSD.
Thank you, Larry. Hey, all right.